Welcome back everyone to episode 3 of Let's Play Advanced Tactics Gold, the multiplayer edition. So things are back on the rails. The wheels kind of fell off the cart for a bit, and I know that we weren't updating videos, but we've gotten like two good back and forths in the last few days. It's picking up momentum because we're both getting more excited as things get closer to war. So basically, the good news is the series should be updated much more often than just once every week and a half. The goal is probably 2 episodes at least a week. So that's good. And it may be even more, is because as we start recording, when we get into war, I'll be recording every turn. So that might happen more often than even twice a week. So let's use this video as kind of like the series is still going on, and also to give you kind of an update because the front is starting to form. In fact, I even snuck in some Jeeps. I sacrificed. Basically what happened is I didn't have the light tank, the research done for it, until last turn. So I finally made my first batch of 4 standard light tanks. I've been building armored cars until then. I think I might have already mentioned that, but I know that we're going to encounter probably a lot more light tanks from Germany just because they had the extra 20 political points I gave him for declaring war, which actually meant he would have been able to research them on turn 1. So he started off with his factory, or whenever the factory was built, he started off with the ability to do light tanks. Anyway, at some point I actually sacrificed. So armored cars versus light tanks is a good question. I would say that 2 light tanks is probably, 2 armored cars are probably not as good as 1 standard light tank. We can see this, that in terms of infantry, 2 armored cars is better. But ultimately, if the front is populated with light tanks and armored cars are going up, let's just pretend that I have 2 armored cars for every 1 standard light tank, but they go up against each other. Oh, then this is 900, 600, but that's compared to 1200, 800. I'm just doubling it because I have 2 for his 1. So even though I have 2, I still have less combat stats than he does. And that's not good. Especially if I'm defending. I'm defending with half the attack value. So that's really bad, because I only have 600 and he has 1200. Now when I attack, I have 900, but he has 800. So that it just shows you that armored cars are not supposed to go up against standard light tanks. We're going to need them to do that for a little bit until we have enough standard light tanks, but and again, the other side of things is that the infantry armored cars are so much better if you're just going up against infantry, but we know we're not going to. So now I actually even sacrificed a bit of my armored car producing ability for 1 turn in order to get 8 Jeeps, because the factory doesn't show it now, but basically you can get 4 light tanks, 8 armored cars, or you could, if you wanted to, get 16 Jeeps. What I did is I got 4 armored cars and then 8 Jeeps 1 turn, just to give myself a bit of a scouting force, because information is power, right? So basically I'm sacrificing the overwhelming superiority that armored cars have versus Jeeps. We can see here the Jeeps are just pathetic compared to, you could get 10 Jeeps and barely match the armored cars. 150 hit points versus thousands. Now, that comparison is a little bit unfair because Jeeps are counted as soft mobile. So that means that they aren't targeted as strongly. You can see that even an armored car would only target soft mobile at 300, 200 versus targeting other armor at 450, 300. So, but obviously Jeeps are just not going to be your offensive units. What are they used for? If I just click on them and pull up, where are they? Here? Here? Yeah, here they are. So if I just click on a Jeep and pull it up, quick, cheap, and gives you excellent reconnaissance. That's what these guys are all about. In fact, I've already named this group. It says Jeep, but they're called the Recon Unit. So this is my Recon template. 2 Jeeps, 2 Riflemen. Yeah, they're not going to have any combat staying power whatsoever, but I am going to be able to use them very well for Recon. Because a Jeep has, if we go back to this comparison, I'm spending a bit of time on this, I'll try to get through this fast, but I think it's important to note that recon points, Jeeps have 2.5 times what 1 armored car does. So This is just me. I'm not sure how to do this, but I'm just guessing that information will be more powerful than the extra combat value I get out of my armor cars. So I have been staying 2 hexes away from the front for a while, just with the idea being that if I see him on the front, he probably can see. But I think you have a vision of 3 beyond your current hex, which means that if he's here, if he's 1 hex behind the front, he can only see 2 hexes into the front. And if he was on the front, I should be able to see him because we can see, along the front. Except we're in the forest because of hide points. Anyway, what I'm presuming basically is that if there's 2 blank spaces behind the hex, behind the front, and then me. So if I'm 3 hexes behind the front, I should be okay. Well, let's count this 2 hexes behind the front, because front, and then 2 hexes. I'm going to ruin that now, because I'm actually going to send my Jeep forward. So let's kind of creep this guy forward. I know I want to move him here eventually, but what I'm going to do is actually just creep him forward myself. First here, because I want to start seeing what he sees. Okay, here, so this is the 1, 2, 3. You can see 3 away. 1 more. We see that there's no units there. 1 more. Now, at this point, I should be visible to him. 1, 2, 3. Let's go 1 more. Great. So he doesn't have any units near the front. Not even as close as I do. That's not... I don't really think we can make anything of that quite yet, but I'll probably think about it a lot off camera. Alright, so good. Now we are actually starting to scout the front. And the really good news is, since this unit has a recon of 52, we're actually getting decent reconnaissance information that deep. Normally, even though your unit would be able to see 3 away, he would have 0 reconnaissance here, or 2 or something like this, which means you probably wouldn't even be able to tell that there's a unit there at all, or you would just be able to see a blank face. So it would look like an empty division marker. We wouldn't have any idea what the contents of that division were. Hopefully the Jeeps are able to tell us a little bit more information with their pretty high reconnaissance. Similarly, down here, I have some Jeeps. I'm probably just going to move 1 here, and I'm going to keep 1 in reserve over here. Just because the high reconnaissance information, I'd like to get some scouting, probably from here of this area. Just to make sure that we're not running into hidden forces here if we try to move forward, etc. Okay, so to keep 2 away from the front, we probably don't need to do that because High Mountains has huge amount of hide points. So it's probably okay for us to move in 30 our units to here. And I'll move this machine gun here. I'm going to park my headquarters here. I don't know where to move this artillery quite yet, so we'll just keep him there. This machine gun's going to move here. He'll eventually move up here. I think since this is a river, not just a stream, he'll be able to hold that well. This guy's my Jeep, so he can't move any further forward quite yet. Basically, the first order of business on every turn is to move my engineers, which I didn't do. I'm working outside of my typical order of operations. Let's see, what do we want to do? Probably upgrade this oil. We want to upgrade this oil. Oil is not, I hope, going to be a problem, but I'm just making double sure about that. So, just raws does not appear like it'll be a problem, but we will need some raw built up in reserve when we start building roads forward. I did already build a road out of this city to the north. You can see that I checked, he doesn't have any roads built yet, but basically what I did, the equivalent of building a road from here to here. And I'm actually stationing my headquarters here at that furthest road north, because he has to cover a little bit further north, where I don't know which is better to put him, here or here. Probably I'll even build 1 more road north, just so he can sit there and kind of defend this area. But some of his troops are going to be on the front forward. Obviously yellow, I think, is going to be given the main task of defending this area, so yellow will be like the headquarters, the front line. Just because it's just the very nature that he's not at the flank, he's at the front where there's no stream, so it should be the main action. Alright, so that being said, let's start moving our units forward. I'm going to move the machine guns forward to here. We can see that since he doesn't have any units near the front, I'm going to be invisible as long as I'm not exactly on the front. So even 1 hex behind the front now is safe. So I can move these units forward if I want. Probably like this. And why not? Let's get 3 in there. I'm going to build a new machine gun out of this headquarters. I think I have enough units. So let's get him to transfer, what is the template? I think it's 24 rifles and 6 machine guns. Okay, now let's officially call that the machine gun group. Move this guy forward, he'll get there next turn, that's fine. Let's leave the artillery back just because it's probably better to leave that very hidden for the time being. And we'll move these guys forward as well. Good, so it's very clear to me that I'm going to need more riflemen just to be able to cover this front. So I'm going to create 2 new riflemen right next to this headquarters. I don't actually need to worry about the transfer. I'm just going to create a blank template and let the chain of headquarters automatically fill that for me. That's really the best way of doing these things because it takes less time. So let's just, oops, keep doing it that way. Get another infantry. I don't think I'm going to need machine gun infantry up here. I already have 2 submachine gun guards to hold any key forest techs, but I don't think we're going to need anything more than that. If they decide to bring tanks up here, then we're screwed anyway. But if they bring tanks up here, it should mean they're weaker in the middle, so I don't know. Lots of strategy going on. Now, I wanted to keep this video a little bit shorter, but I think it's kind of exciting the way the front is actually starting to form. So I hope that you guys also find that exciting. And, of course, just knowing that we're back up and at it. Let's get this Jeep also to move to the front, or let's say at least here. Okay, yeah, so we'll move him up to the front next turn, I think. Because we don't have any vision beyond this. And he already built oil. Oil is fine. This guy, we probably won't build roads forward yet, just because it is visible and we don't want to tip our hand. I don't think this tips anything, so. In fact, actually building a road here might be kind of a decoy, because we don't have any intent of attacking over here. We just want to scout. And okay, so let's not overthink things. Let's move this guy to the headquarters. And I think you've seen already, maybe you haven't, that I have a recon, or sorry, mechanized. Has a weird marker when you look at it here, but if we zoom in and I go to, that's weird, it even has that weird marker here. But it doesn't have that weird marker if it's not blown up. Okay, it's fine. This weird marker is just supposed to be the single slash through the light armor symbol. I mean, you can see it if I go back this way, it's working correctly. I just use that for my mechanized. I know true mechanized has the full infantry sign, not the scout, whatever. But since it's armored cars and not true mechanized, these aren't half-track, right? Actually, I might as well just do them as real mechanized, though, because they are, in fact, riding on the top of those armored cars. Let's give them the sign of true mechanized. Elevate them to the full sign. And that should also, hopefully, stop that annoying bug. Perfect. Okay, so now they're true mechanized. Even though they're, it's a pedantic point, but I don't think they're true mechanized. But they're the truest form of mechanized I'm going to have. Because the next step up is light armor, which, did I create light armor? I did. So I have this light armor group, but I just got tanks this turn, so they haven't been pushed forward yet. Okay, so these guys are moving forward. We're going to need a lot more riflemen to support this northern area. Now let's get these guys to move forward as well. So let's try to do 1 machine gun and 2 normal infantry in every hex. Just for now. And we don't need any machine guns in the swamp. Just put 2 there. Now these guards I'm going to intentionally leave back. They're kind of like fallback groups, or eventually if we get over to the urban or forest areas, that's where they'll come to the front. I don't want them fighting in the open, so they're just a reserve unit until the terrain which is more appropriate for them, we get to that. So let's do maybe something like this. Okay, good. So I'm also keeping my mechanized groups in the back, just in case they move a Jeep forward or something. I don't know what he decided to build, but in case they have enough scouting information, I don't want them to be able to tell that I have armored cars. Good, so what do we want to do here? This guy is going to be like this. We're going to switch 4 into that. So these are obviously going to become 2 new mechanized units. And I will let the game automatically move the appropriate amount of infantry into these groups for me. That's really the best way of doing it from here on in, is just let the game automatically transfer. Yeah, it's much easier to deal with that way. So right now I think the only thing he'll be able to see is this Jeep, because that's the only thing on the front. If he moves units forwards, he'll definitely be able to see that I'm starting to mass some units in the back. But, okay. So this guy is supposed to be a reserve across, I can't tell, this is a stream, not a river. So this is, yeah, a good point that I may want to defend. It's a fallback, I would say. I made the streams on over here at the borders intentional, because my strategy would be to turtle. There's no strategically objective territory over here, right? But by adding this stream, you kind of make it strategically objective. Like, this is a very good place to defend. But the question is, do you want to push all the way out over here, guarding much strategically completely useless territory, in order to occupy better defensive ground? And that's why I've made this decision tough. And I really like this map so far, because it makes that decision really tough for you. Obviously in the middle, where your cities are close and there's resources available, this area was going to be defended very hard no matter what. So having the stream here just makes the gameplay slower. But having it over here really makes you have to decide, you know, where should I mean, it would be obvious if I tried to invade without a stream, because I would just move forces there and have a road follow pretty far behind. But in order to cross the stream, I'm going to put myself out of supply directly, so I'll have to already have a road nearby in order to cross the stream. So I basically like these little the flanking stream map decisions. So okay, so let's not make this too much longer. I think that's everything I wanted to do. Let's just get this guy to move forward still. And we have that first tank group. So although he will eventually be, oh no, I don't want him, I want his headquarters. Tank will probably be part of yellow, because yellow is going to bear the brunt of the assault. Let's get all these tank guys in there then. And eventually this will be a tank division, which right now I currently set for only 3 standard light tanks. I don't remember why I was doing that. I might switch that back. But 3 standard light tanks, 4 standard light tanks, they're probably only going to cover or carry 10 riflemen. But for the time being, I'm going to use the full carrying capacity of these standard light tanks. Since they're driving to the front anyways, they might as well take a bunch of infantry on their backs, maxed out. Okay, next thing's next. We're going to move forward. I think we need like 10 staff here, 30 staff here, probably because they acquired a lot. 10 staff here. Let's see how we're doing. So we're at 126, that's fine. 116, that's fine. And 134, so we're doing good. Now let's just start to transfer a few more rifles to the front preemptively. Let's get like 20, 30. This guy needs a bunch too, so I'll give him 30 as well. What else do we need to transfer? Artillery, I think. So artillery here is covered, I think. This guy has full artillery, great. So we only are going to use 1 artillery down here for now. Actually, let's not do it this way. Let's just make it, let's do this in an intelligent manner. Let's move this guy north, here. And let's create a new artillery group here. But this is going to be easier. We're not going to micromanage the movement. We're just going to have the main headquarters transfer that stuff automatically. And we're probably going to want another, wait, yeah, we're probably going to want, well, let's just wait for this artillery to be populated before we demand anything else. Okay, what else do we need? What else do we have? Maybe some more guards. So where is there the most force that we're going to want to defend? I think we probably want another guard down here, so let's get one more. Yeah. One more machine gun guard here. Submachine gun. These guard units are basically just my urban guards. I think of it as like an urban unit. they're going to perform well in the forest as well, and that's probably where I would say a good portion of their combat is going to be in the forest, actually. But I still kind of classify these in my head as like an urban unit. Okay, so that is everything we wanted to do with transfers and everything. All we're going to do now is just modify the production. I don't need any more trains, so we're going to go ahead and get 80 rifles. And I'm going to switch back to machine guns probably next turn. Okay, so this is what I'm doing. You can see we have probably enough staff, but I'm not going to change much here because I like the way this is going, and I'm trying to keep more or less the same production as my opponent. We are talking in general terms about our production, just so that we don't, like I said, one person shouldn't win just purely based on production. So thanks for watching this episode, and like I said, the exciting thing is I think you can really keep an eye out for updates to this series much more frequently than they've been coming previously. Let's not wait another week and a half for another update. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next episode very soon. Until then, take care.